Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Paterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
The poet as journalist. I do not report the news, though I truck in truth and use as proof images from my life and the street. Midnight is my only deadline, and the human heart my only beat. Thank you. Oh. In addition to the book, there are a few hardcovers out there, and then there's the softback as well. I have the pens that you can buy from Smita, and CDs that I feel the CD is a dying technology, so I want them to go, so they're priced to move. You don't have $8, make me an offer and you can take the CDs away. They're just gathering dust now. There's a letterpress broadside of this poem, which is called How Falling in Love is Like Owning a Dog. This poem has been read at so many weddings, and I've had so many maids of honor and best men call me up and say, or write to me and say, I'm reading this poem at my friend's wedding next week. Could you print it out on nice paper and sign it to them? So I finally went to a printer and said, typeset this, print it out, so now I can say, here, buy it, and I'll send it to you, right? So I brought it. How falling in love is like owning a dog. First of all, it's a big responsibility, especially in a large metropolitan area like Paterson. So think long and hard before deciding on love. On the other hand, love gives you a sense of security, because when you're walking down the street late at night and you have a leash on love, ain't nobody gonna mess with you. Because crooks and muggers, they think love is unpredictable. Who knows what love could do in its own defense? It may lunge at your throat with its pointy teeth. Meow, meow. On cold winter nights, love lies between you and lives and breathes and makes funny noises. Love wakes you up all hours of the night with its needs. Love needs to be fed so it will grow and stay healthy. Love doesn't like being left alone for long, but come home and love is always happy to see you. It may break a few things accidentally in its passion for life, but you can never be mad at love for long. Is love good all the time? Those of you who have ever been in love or owned a dog or both, answer me that question. Is love good all the time? No. No! No! Love can be bad. Bad love. Very bad love. Love makes messes. Love leaves you little surprises all over the apartment. Love needs lots of cleaning up after. Sometimes you want to get a piece of rolled up newspaper and swat love on the nose, not so much to cause pain, just to let love know, don't you ever do that to me again. Bad love. Sometimes, God help you, you just want to get love fixed. Yeah. But most of the time, love just wants to go out for a nice, long walk, because love loves exercise. It'll run you around the block and leave you panting, breathless, or wrap itself around and around and around you until you're all wound up and you cannot move. If you throw things away, love will bring them back. Again and again and again, but most of all, love needs love, lots of it. And in return, love loves you and never stops. Bob Holman is the owner of the Bowery Poetry Club in New York City. He's the guy who brought the Poetry Slam to New York in the early 1990s, down to the New Eurekan Poets Cafe. And his philosophy is, if a poet ever says, how am I doing on time? It means they've completely lost track, and you should tell them, One more. And I saw him do that to Allen Ginsberg at Allen Ginsberg's last reading. And if truth be told, Allen had been told to read for 30 minutes, and he read for 45, and the audience was getting antsy. And so when he said, "How am I doing on time?" Bob Holman said, "One more, Allen." And he should have launched into howl right then. But it's a good philosophy. This is all by way of saying, I'm having such fun up here. I've kind of lost track of the time, but I'm not going to ask you, how am I doing on time? Because I'm afraid you're going to say, one more, Taylor, and I want to do two more. But I have a couple of announcements. One is I run a series at the Bowery Poetry Club on the third Wednesday of every month, except for the summer. We take July, August, we take July. No, this year we're doing June. July, August. We just take off July and August, apparently. And it's called Page Meets Stage, where I take a more page-oriented poet and I pair them with a more spoken word-oriented poet, and they read back and forth, poem for poem. Maria is doing it in October with Sean Thomas Doherty. That is going to be a wonderfully spirited reading for reasons we don't have to go into now. But there may be some axes that will be ground there. The next one, however, is next Wednesday at the Bowery Poetry Club at 8 p.m. Jeff Friedman and a poet named Fallu. We're calling it the Battle of the Bible, Old Testament versus New Testament. They both write a lot of poems about, he calls his poems midrashic poems, and she writes a lot of New Testament poems. So pick up one of these cards, come there, and the normal admission price is $12, but if you say secretly, "I'm from the Poetry Center," you'll get in for half price. I'll make sure that the doorman knows that that's one of the code words. Here's a poem for my wife, Marie Elizabeth, who just had her first book published in February. But I wrote this about a year ago, before her manuscript had been accepted, and she was tired and demoralized and had forgotten how beautiful she is. And this is called The Naked Gardener. You're tired, but there is breakfast to make, and emails to answer, and poems to write. You have to reprint your manuscript, which means making sure that the page numbers are right. So you work out, you stretch, you cool down, you head for the sauna when you get the chance, you strip naked, you carry the hamper to the laundry, then remember, you have to water the plants. So nude, you gather your watering can, and you visit each fern and the bonsai tree. You decide that a cactus cannot be saved, and this is how you appear to me. Naked, as Eve in the garden. Sweaty hair, a beautiful mess, a struggling half-dead cactus in your hands is your only natural dress. You ask me to throw out the cactus. You say please, and you give me a kiss. But the truth is, I would do anything you want if you asked me naked like this. Repave the driveway, learn to speak Latin. It doesn't matter the scope of the task. I'm happy to do it. There's nothing to it. Just take off your clothes and ask. But here you leave me love-struck and smiling wide until I notice that the next plants needing water are the ones in the garden, outside. But off you go to tend to your beauties, watering them one by one, radiant woman, now only clad in the glorious rays of the sun. I have always considered it fortunate that we live on a hill in the middle of the woods, because if the UPS man were to come right now, he would die from one glimpse of your goods. Oh, naked gardener, carry on. There is none but me who can see. And I hope one day you feel as beautiful as you look every day to me. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is one of the places that I have wanted to read. This is on my list. And I would love to join your company and be invited back someday, but if I am never invited back to read here, it will probably be because of this last poem. So I want to thank you now while you still like me. What do I forget to say? I think I've made all of my announcements, and Vivian and I are going to go grab a cookie and sit and come talk to us, and grab a card, grab a tattoo, take all the tattoos. And this last poem is for anyone who has a grant deadline soon, especially if they should be working on it right now. Were you working on your grant deadline as you were listening to the poem? Okay, that's all right. Or anyone who has to grade any student papers anytime soon. This is called the impotence of proofreading. Has this ever happened to you? You work very, very hard on a paper for English class and still get a very low grade on it, like a D or even a D equals. And all because you are the liverwurst spoiler in the whale-wide word. Yes, proofreading your peppers is a matter of the utmost impotence. Now this is a problem that affects manly students all over the word. I myself was such a bed spiller once upon a term that my English torturer in my sophomoric year, Mrs. Myth, she said that I was never going to get into a good colleague. And that's all I wanted. That's all any kid wants at that age, just to get into a good colleague. And not just anal community colleague. Because I am not one of those guys who would be happy at just anal community colleague. I need to be challenged menstrually. I need a place that can offer me intellectual simulation. So I know this probably makes me sound like a stereo, but I really felt that I could get into an Ivory Legal colleague. So if I did not improvement, then gone would be my dream of going to Harvard, jail, or prison. You know, in prison, New Jersey. So I got myself a spell checker, and I figured I was on Sleazy Street, but there are several mistakes that a spell checker can't catch. For instance, if you accidentally leave out word, your spell checker won't put it in you. And God, for billing purposes only, you should have serial problems with Tory spelling. Your spell check off may end up using a word that you had absolutely no detention of using. Because, I mean, what do you want it to douche? No, it only does what you tell it to douche. You're the one who's sitting in front of the computer screen with your hand on the mouth going clit, clit, clit. It just goes to show you how embargo one careless little clit of the mouth can be, which reminds me of this one time during my junior mint. The teacher took the essay that I had written on a sale of two titties, and she read it. No, I am serial. She read it out loud in front of all of my assmates. It was quite possibly one of the most humidifying experiences of my entire life, being laughed at like that publicly. So do yourself a favor and follow these two Pisces of advice. One, there is no prostitute for careful editing of your own work. No prostitute whatsoever. And two, when it comes to proofreading, the red penis, your friend. Spank you. Spank you very much. Have a great day. Go in poetry. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Oh, Taylor's going to have us laughing for the next 3 weeks thinking about that. The worst part is that I type so poorly, I think I'm very guilty of that when it comes to email, which I'm always trying to get through. You know, do you get 300 emails a day at least? And you're trying to get finished, and you figure, oh, spell check, fuck that, you know. And so then 3 weeks later, you come across the email, and you think, this makes absolutely no sense. All the words have half of the letters left off and all that. But I figure I'm allowed a few flaws, as I'm a poet, so it's okay if I can't type.